Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got the second video covering 3 more of the tier 10s that are currently available for 450,000 free XP. In this video we're going to go over the Murat, the Centauro 45t and the 114 SP2. Now if you do like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the 3 tanks, as I said in the first video yesterday, there is currently the free XP sale going off, which means that again, if you want to pick up a tank for 450,000 free XP, it's really down to you how that discount is, depending on how much free XP you have knocking around in your account. So for me, if I have 50,000 free XP, as you can see there, and I wanted to get up to the 400k mark, which is really a pain to get through these filters. It should just be how much do I want to free it to convert, and then I can type in the number. Makes it far easier. But say it's 10,000 gold to be able to convert 400,000 free XP, add that onto my 50k, that means I can pick up a tier 10 premium for 450,000 free XP, and I've basically paid 10,000 gold for it. Whereas normally these tier 10 premiums are 17.5 to 22,000 gold, which is absolutely ridiculous amount of money, and you should never buy them for that much money, because this kind of sale is way better for picking them up. They're still very expensive for a tank that has no bonuses, but if you want one of these vehicles, this is probably the best time to try and pick them up, unless they end up in some sort of earn-up. So we're going to start off with the Projet Murat, which is a tier 10 French auto-loading medium tank and is one of the best tier 10 medium tanks that's auto-loading. Why? Because the gun handling is amazing, the turret armor is good, the mobility is great, the gun handling is great, the camo is really good as well, you've got really good view range, good penetration, basically everything about this tank is amazing. It's not really my cup of tea. I don't really like this tank, and it's one of those weird ones where I go, I've never really enjoyed playing it, even though it's an absolutely fabulous tank. And statistically, it's one of the best vehicles at tier 10 in terms of auto-loading medium tanks, for all the reasons I've just listed. The gun handling is amazing, great shell velocity, good reload, good mobility, good camo, all that shenanigans. But yeah, it's just not really been my cup of tea. But it is a really good tank, and if you want a good auto-loading tier 10 medium tank, this is one to pick up. And it is very, very good at it. So what do I run in terms of recruit and equipment on the Projet Murat? Well, I run the Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Camouflage Expertise, Run and Gun, Snapshot, Steady Aim, and Silent Driving. Camouflage Expertise and Silent Driving to get the best out of the camo on this vehicle, so that I can keep the camo down while I'm on the move, and I can get that very good 275 meters of still concealment that you see on the Projet Murat. All 3 gun perks to make sure that this gun is as fabulous as possible, because it is a key strength of the vehicle, so it's nice to be able to make that really good. But you could quite easily drop something like Snapshot, which I think the accuracy during rotation is already pretty decent, so you could drop that for something like Deadeye to increase your chance of doing module damage as a meme perk, but you're probably better running either clutch braking or rapid aim to make the turret traverse or the track traverse better. It's really down to you and how you want to play the vehicle. And in terms of equipment, I do run optics, gun stabilizer, and the camo net. Camo net to get that 275 meters of still concealment, so I can have the very good camouflage this vehicle has. Gun stabilizer to get the best accuracy during rotation movement as possible as I can, so that the aim circle doesn't bloom out whatsoever while I'm on the move, and that means I can snap shots like a boss, like this tank can. And optics to be able to make the best out of the view range, get up to that 525 meters of view range, and it means that I can use the very good camo and the view range as a pair to basically be a scout as well at times in the Projet Murat, and it's very, very handy for getting very good assistance damage. In terms of the armor on this tank, it is very good hull down, because this gun mantlet is very, very good. The outsides of the gun mantlet aren't quite as good, but it is very well sloped, so again, you will most likely ricochet. The only time you really catch shots in this thing when you're hull down is if people are firing, most of the time, it's tier 9s or 10 firing premium, and they catch you just in the turret ring here. Because the turret ring is pennable, but it's something that is a very slim shot, and you've got to be very careful of the fact that people can hit it, but generally, most of the time, they're getting lucky if they're hitting that. Your upper plate is at a good angle, so you can actually ricochet shots off of this upper plate, but you've got to be careful, because it is only, if we find the plating here, it is 70mm thick, and it's very well sloped, so it can ricochet a lot of shots, and especially when you're using your full degrees of gun depression, your 9 or 10 or whatever it is on this vehicle, this will become an auto ricochet angle quite easily. But this lower plate is big and fat, which means it's very, very easy to hit. If you're shooting at this tank, don't think it's French, so it's paper, and you'll pen it even in the upper plate. Go for the lower plate, because that's where you'll pen it. You'll ricochet a lot of the time off of that. And in terms of the side armor, you don't really want to think about side scraping because you have 45mm of thickness on this side armor, which means 152mm, well, 150mm plus guns tend to go through it, but you can side scrape the 120 and 122mm guns that you will come against as well, and even up to the 130 mark as well, which is quite handy for the vehicle. So it can side scrape it, but you don't really want to be side scraping this vehicle. This vehicle is a fast hull down support medium tank, and that's where it wants to be, because if you try and side scrape, this 100mm cheek here can get penned as well, which can be annoying for you in your Projet Murat. And in terms of the modules, there's the engine bays in this tank. If you get shot through the lower plate, especially on the left-hand side, you likely get your engine damaged. Same as if you get shot in the middle section of that back end. That's where the ammo racks sit in the Projet Murat. So if you get shot in the middle section or in the back of the turret on that little right-hand side, you will likely get your ammo rack damage. But generally, this vehicle doesn't seem for me to get ammo rack damage that much. But you can get ammo racked through the drive wheels if you're not careful. And that's where the crew sits in the Projet Murat. So let's get into the statistics here of the Projet Murat. As you can see, we've got a 60 km/h top speed with a 21 km/h reverse speed, a 1200 horsepower engine, which is 28.57 horsepower per ton ratio. So you've got a fantastic horsepower per ton ratio, meaning you get up to that top speed very, very easily. Great reverse speed as well, meaning you get back behind the ridge lines very quickly. The horsepower per ton, like I said, the mobility on this vehicle is absolutely fantastic. 10% internal fire chances on the low end of fire chances as well, and you don't really get set on fire that often in it, really. Ground resistances don't really hold the tank back much at all, which is good, although 2.12 is quite high for soft terrain. 44 degrees a second on the hull rotation speed means that this tank does turn very, very fast on its tracks, which is great. It helps the mobility feel fantastic. 275 metres of steel concealment with 285 metres of on-the-move concealment means that this tank is very, very stealthy, and you can play those bush locations very easily, and if you use the bushes correctly, you can stay unspotted while firing, and having the low on-the-move concealment means that you can get to those aggressive positions pretty quickly too. 525 metres of view range, is absolutely fantastic. Again, helps you spot for yourself very easily. You got the 39.1 degrees a second turret rotation speed, which is slower than your tracks, so be careful of that if you try and look left while turning right, the turret will keep up with the hull. You got 0.34 accuracy during rotation, which is absolutely amazing, which is why I say you could think about dropping something like Snapshot to take some other perk, because that accuracy during rotation is already so good. And with the 1.64 accuracy during movement, that is very, very good as a pair. It means the aim circle is not that big while on the move, meaning you don't have much to aim in. And the fact that you have a 1.84 second aim time as well, it aims in supremely quickly the little bit it does bloom out, which is, the gun angle on this tank is amazing. Although it does like to miss shots. And in fact, I said 10 degrees earlier on, right? It's 12 degrees. You've got 12 degrees of gun depression in this tank, which means you are incredibly flexible on a ridgeline. And that is amazing gun depression for a tier 10 medium tank. And yeah, that makes it a king of a ridgeline, which is something that, it's to say, the whole package of this tank is amazing, to be fair. Because you've got 0.26 accuracy at 100 metres as well, which means this tank is really, really accurate. Although the gun likes derping shots that you sit there going, you've got 0.26 accuracy, how did that miss? Really, game? Thanks for that. Yeah, RNG, right? You've got 3 shots in the clip with a 2.5 second intra-clip reload, which means it does spit the rounds out pretty quickly, but not as fast as some others like a TVP. It's in that middle section between 2 to 3 seconds, but it fires 3 shots from in 5 seconds from firing the first shell, essentially. 22.69 second reload is 2.5k DPM, that you don't pay attention too much to DPM seen for an autoloader, as burst damage is king in an autoloader as opposed to pure DPM, because most of the time single shot vehicles will out DPM you, but you have the burst capacity. And the 22.69 second reload for nearly enough 1200 damage in a clip is very, very good. And it just means you're not sitting there twiddling your thumbs out the battle for too long. Once you've fired the clip, you can relocate, and you're reloaded by the time you relocate, which is great. You've got 261mm of penetration on the standard APCR, with 330mm of penetration on the premium heat rounds, 53mm of penetration on the HE, which you're never really going to take because you never really get the chance to load a HE clip. You've got 1,575 metres a second shell velocity on the on the standard APCR, which is absolutely incredible velocity, with 1,100 metres a second shell velocity on the heat rounds, which again is very good. for a heat round, and it means you don't have to give too much lead at distance to be able to hit your targets, especially with the standard APCR. The velocity is absolutely fantastic, as is everything about this tank. Like I say, this tank is absolutely amazing. Like, statistically, it is incredible. It's probably too good, realistically, with having everything as a package. It has the great turret armor, the great reload, the great gun accuracy, the great gun depression, the fantastic view range, the fantastic camo. You know, it's probably just like a little bit too good in that regard, but there we go. But that's the Projet Murat. What I'm going to do now is send you into the replays where you can watch this tank in action, see how it handles, see if it's a bit of you or not, and I'll see you in the replays. So here we are in the replays with the Projet Murat, and this first game we are on Highway. And on Highway, when I'm in a medium tank, especially like this, or to be honest, quite a few tanks, as long as I've got some sort of speed, I do like to go straight under this bridge at E5, because you do cut off any attack the enemy team has up the 8B line, and then you can progress the fight up to counter their snipers that do go sit on the ridge at CD9. So we're going to poke up next to the bridge. We end up out-spotting their Murat, so clearly that guy hasn't either set up for camo or view range, which means we easily find him, and we actually managed to fire all of our shots without getting spotted by him. We tracked him in place as well, which gave us a little bit of assistance damage. I said a little bit. It gave us 786 tracking assist. We'll take it. And with the Murat gone, that's the threat to our AB line gone. So we're now going to poke over and see if we can spot any of their TDs that will be camping on the little ridge line, because I wanted to see if I could get some spotting, because it's a good way of getting assistance damage if you just poke over. Because I wasn't ready to fire. I wasn't loaded yet. But yeah, if I spot the enemy team with enough time, my team should hopefully have fed me some assistance damage. But people like the E50 are managing to poke up all the way on top of the ridgeline and are getting away with being able to shoot me without taking any hits. But we did manage to get a bit of assistance damage on the guys we spotted on our left after we'd bounced the RBRT shot onto the E4, which I was kind of sad about, because we did go for the side of the E4, even though it was RBRT, but hey-ho, it is what it is. But we're in the position I want to be in a Murat currently. We're hull down, we're only really showing our turret. It's making it very difficult for them to be able to get shots into us, although they're still finding a way to do it. If we only expose our turret, though, we should be able to bounce a decent amount of shots from any of these guys. It's just that the positions that we're poking up in are a little bit awkward, and we're overexposing a little bit too much of our hull, which is giving them easy shots. So I'm going to maneuver myself into a better position on this ridgeline where I can go hull down a bit easier, shoot people like the MX M454, and then I can actually get easier shots while staying a bit safer at the people that are sitting at CD9. So we put one shot towards the MX M454, was never really going to go in, to be perfectly honest. Aimed the shot up towards his cupola, and that's the gun in action. Straight through. Just a really tight shot on that MX M454's cupola, and the gun went, yeah, you know what, bang. Got it. Thank you. That's because this gun is absolutely fantastic on the Murat, as is the whole tank. As I've said previously, it is an absolutely immense tank. The stats for it are absolutely mental. On the whole, everything about this tank is absolutely amazing. As I say, it's just a tank that I don't particularly enjoy playing. And it's probably because it is too good in all of those categories. I don't particularly enjoy playing tanks as much in this game that are absolutely incredible. I prefer tanks that have got a bit about them where I can, you know, try and work whatever strengths they've got, or try and work around some of the weaknesses. Now, not tanks that are absolutely poo, naturally, because they can be just as frustrating to play, but tanks that are basically fairly well balanced, where they've got those strengths and weaknesses, and it depends on your skill as to how you get the most out of them. But yeah, we ended up poking up, trying to get a shot into the Sheridan as he poked over, but sadly our shot went straight over him. He tried to snap a heat shell straight into the turret, but, well, he only did gun damage in the end. It is 11-7 so far, so our team is winning this game, but they are slowly but surely clawing back some kills. But we're in the position that I want to be in, which is where I can get shots down on the TD and the Sheridan and the medium tank, but we do have to be careful of that Taran, which is what we're going to go for, because if we can get rid of the Taran, that'd be great. But then a piggy appears. Hello, Mr. Piggy. Don't mind if I get my bacon. Sadly, we've low-rolled a couple of shots, which meant we didn't actually manage to get the kill on the piggy and get our bacon, and we actually took a shot in the side of the turret as well, which means we've got to be just a little bit more careful, because we're actually a one-shot for that Taran if he decides to put a shot through us, so we've just got to be just a little bit more careful. But this is where 12 degrees gun depression on the Murat can be absolutely fantastic for us, as we don't have to overexpose too much of our tank to be able to get the gun depression down to be able to shoot the enemy team. As we get one shot into the T62A, hoping to get a shot into the side of his turret, but it ricochets, and there's only one tank left in the enemy team, for which we actually go straight into the reload of the clip so that we can have a possible full clip into this T58 Heavy if he manages to survive. But he is currently being pressured by 2 TDs, and basically the whole team is going to jump on him. But as you can see, we didn't get there in the end, but the reload is really fast, and even though we didn't get there, we would have been fully loaded by the time we did, and we could have ended up dumping a clip into that guy if he'd kept his hit points. But there we go. We finished with the 3.6k damage, the 1900 assistance damage with 1211 base XP. A fairly standard game there for the Projet Murat on Highway. And we're into the second replay. In the second replay, we're here on Kasserine. And on Kasserine, what I want to do is go poke over at F3, F4, sit in that position, use the 12 degrees of gun depression, use the good camo that we've got, and then also on top of that use the fantastic 525 meters of view range so that we can outspot our opponents really easily, dump clips where we need to, and just buff up our damage and assistance totals to have a generally pretty nice game on Kasserine. And Kasserine is a good map for us, naturally, as it is a big open space. There's a lot of room for us to go maneuver, use the great mobility at the 60 km/h mark that this tank has, use the great camo to stay unspotted at great distances, use the good view range to be able to spot out, and then use the great gun handling with the decent reload to be able to just keep damage flowing out of this auto loader. So we're just watching what's going off in the distance on the JK. Doesn't seem to be much happening though. We're not really seeing anything, but the TD and the 2 medium tanks are progressing up the 1 line. So it's all about patience and not pushing too soon. We're just going to wait to see if these guys end up spotting anything, and they do. It's a general, but Mr. General is gone just like that. We didn't even get a chance to fire ourselves. And with the T62A and the 2 other medium tank, or the medium tank and the TD being where they are, I don't feel like there's anything much else on this flank. So you know what I want to do is push to the little ridgeline position at G6, G7. That little ledge up there that you can see directly in front of us, I can poke over, use again the 12 degrees of gun depression, and shoot anyone that is along the CDE line if they are spotted, and that should hopefully net us some free damage. Plus we could possibly spot where any of the rest of their team are, because there's still quite a few tanks knocking around. Well, most of their team pretty much, that we don't know where they are. But they're starting to slowly but surely get spotted in the little dip. But we've caught the 121B out, we put a shot through his drive wheel, second shot through his low plate, third shot finishes him off, we bounce him off our turret front because that's the Murat. And we're up to 1,062 damage with 476 assistance damage, and it's currently 13-13, so it is fairly even so far. But if I can get some shots into either the Barask to finish him off or this Murat as well, that would be great, because I don't want that Murat to live if I can help it. So we're just watching what they are doing, and there we go. We have some shots in. We managed to ricochet off of the Murat though, sadly, but we got a shot into the Hori too, and then what happens is we also get shot in the rear by the IS Desmond Tutu. So, while we're trying to get shots in that Hori 2, the IS Desmond Tutu had managed to sneak up on us, and I believe he put a double barrel into the side of our Murat, which is a sad time for us. I never even noticed that guy appear, and I thought with where our team had been in that middle area that no one would really be able to come up that way, but, well, I was mistaken. So now we're reloaded, and I don't really want to go after the IS Desmond Tutu and push down there. I was going to drive around the corner, go get up behind the heavy tank that was at G8. But to my surprise, a T-77 appeared, and it was like, oh boy, hello T-77. Good night, Mr. T-77, as we managed to set him on fire. And when I was shooting at that T-77, I did aim for the back end where the engine bay is, and the reason I did that is because, well, the likelihood that I might actually set him on fire, and well, it did happen, which is always something you should be thinking of when you are going for certain shots, is going, well, if I shoot him there, will I set him on fire? Possibly. Yeah, okay, I'll go for it. So we put 2 shots into the IS Desmond Tutu. We're just looking for the third shot, which could finish him off, but I'm being careful because I don't want to bleed any more hit points than I have to, because it is currently 8-9, so we are a tank down. And with him hiding around the corner to a position that I can't actually get shots at him, I may as well go for the full reload, have a full clip ready, and then I can go after either the Hori 2 or the Murat that's on the opposite side of the ridge. Might even be able to get shots into that artillery if I'm lucky enough as well. So that's what we're going to manoeuvre ourselves into a position to try and see. So we actually have the back of that M355. We put 1 in, we put 2 in. Can we get the third in? No, he gets away. So in fact, we're going to put the third shell of this clip into the Hori 2, because no wastage round here. We make sure we get our damage. And then we can go on the reload. Now, that Orthrus is climbing the ridge at D4, but I fully expect that I'll be able to reload before he gets over that ridge line, to be honest. And he gets tracked in front of us as well. And again, this is where the Murat's reload on its clip is really good, because you aren't out of the fight for very long whatsoever, and you can get in there and shut down tanks like Mr. Orthrus. We're now at 7-7, so we are actually equal, and I see the Ho-Ri 2 in a position that I can go and farm him. 12 degrees of gun depression, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, get out my gamey. That's what we did to Mr. Ho-Ri 2. We're up to 5.6k damage with 891 assistance. We got caught out a little bit by the Murat, who did manage to put a shot in. We see the Death Stars in the distance, not going to be able to get shots at him. If I can try and catch out this Murat, though, if he crosses with my clip, that would be great. So we're going to poke to see if we can see this Murat, because we know he's somewhere over there. The M5355 is spotted at D3, but we can't get any shots at him. And again, I'm fully expecting the Murat to be somewhere. And there he is. He gets spotted by the medium tank at D6 and is fully tempted out by them. So we get one shot in. We're fully hulled down, meaning this guy is not going to get any shots into us. Go for that shot into the side again. It tracks and pens him, putting him on 351 hit points, meaning there's now a one shot for the other Murat that goes in and shuts him down. It's currently 4-3, which means, again, the game is still on a bit of a knife's edge. It's still a bit equal. Make that 4-2 now. It's not quite as equal. I make that 4-1. Okay, team, calm down. It's not equal anymore. I get it. We're up to 6.7k damage with 4 kills, the 891 assistance, and there's one tank left on the enemy team. It's Mr. 279E. So we are loading that 330 heat pen, because 261 pen, if we have the front of a 279E, won't be enough, whereas 330 heat will go through that guy. The T62A is currently going around him, and I was kind of trying to wait till I was reloaded before I poked over so that he didn't decide to get away from me. But again, 12 degrees of gun depression is going to serve us very well. We put one shot into his side, 2 shots, well, he gets set on fire, and we finish him off with the third shell from Mr. Murat. And yeah, that's just the Murat in general. It's a very, very good tank. It's very good if you can get to those support locations. Keep firing out the rounds. You have great turret armor to keep bouncing shots off your turret. And finish with 5 kills, 7.5k damage, 891 assistance. So they're high caliber, the first class for 1594 base XP. A really nice game for the Murat, which is honestly a very, very good tank. Now we're on to the Italian Tier 10 premium medium tank, the Centauro 45t. Now, a lot of people will have this as well, same as the Projet Murat, and same as the 114 SP2, to be fair, because they were all Season Pass vehicles or Ultimate Pass vehicles. But this tank is pretty damn good these days. When it first came out, it had the auto reloader and the single shot, and it still does. It has 2 gun options. You can pick the auto reloader or the single shot. But it couldn't run an advanced loader, which it can now, which means that the single shot is king because the DPM on it is 3.7k. It's very, very nice. But it means that the auto reloader is also a lot better because you've now got a 9.5 second reload as opposed to the 10 or 11 seconds it was before that. The auto reloader I like taking on this vehicle because it makes it different to other tier 10 mediums. Essentially, if I take the auto reloader, it means I can burst damage people and I can stay single shot if I want to. It's really down to me as it is an inverse auto reloader, meaning that if you are firing on empty, that is your best DPM as opposed to having a full clip. It takes longer to load the full clip. But the single shot is definitely the best gun for the tank, but it's really down to you and how you want to play it. So, in terms of a crew and equipment, a fairly standard medium tank crew for this vehicle: Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, with the Camouflage Expertise and Silent Driving. Camouflage Expertise and Silent Driving again to get the camo down as low as possible so that I can stay stealth in certain situations, and the longer I stay unspotted the better because I can farm for longer. All 3 gun perks because this gun can be derpy. This is a derpy gun, so you want to help this gun out as much as possible with all 3 gun perks. And the same with the equipment. I run the advanced loader, the gun stabilizer, optics. Now I used to run camo net instead of the gun stabilizer, instead of the advanced loader, but that's because you didn't get the advanced loader. So the camo net helped to have really good camo, as opposed to having good DPM, which if you run the advanced loader now, which has been added with one of the latest patches for it, you will have actually pretty damn good DPM on your single shot, and you can still get a pretty good reload out of what is the auto reload and have burst damage as well. It's down to you and how you feel comfortable with it. But we run the gun stabilizer because this gun is derpy, and then optics to be able to try and get view range so I can actually spot for myself as well in the Centauro 45t. In terms of the armor, like I say, this is a funky one to shoot at. You want to shoot at this lower plate to be able to pen it, because if you hit this section here, you're more likely to ricochet. Same as if you hit this section here as well. It's quite a funky one to shoot at. If you are hull down in this vehicle, you've got to be careful, because if people fire premium, they can pen you here, so it's something to just be careful of. But the turret cheeks, especially when you're using your gun depression, will bounce you a good amount when you're hull down. You just got to be careful of occasionally catching shots in your turret ring, which is very, very thick, but if people are firing premium rounds, they can occasionally find that, so be very, very careful of that. And this vehicle, in terms of its side armour, has 70mm of side armour all over, which means it can side scrape, which is another thing that you can utilise if you need to. You don't really want to be doing that, but you can as an asset for your vehicle. It's not paper thin on the side, so that's something it can do. And in terms of the modules, there's the engine bay for the vehicle. It's got 10% internal fire chance, but again, it feels like a bit of a lie that if you get shot in that back end, this thing gets lit up like a tinderbox. So be careful of that. That's where the ammo racks are. It's made of ammo racks, which is a bit of a pain, and especially when you use the auto reload. If you use that, it's 20-second reload for your main round. Oh god, it's made of ammo racks. It gets ammo racked a lot, this vehicle, so it's something to be very careful of with the Centauro 45t. And that's where the crew sit in the vehicle. So yeah, you can kill the driver by shooting through the right-hand side of the lower plate, all that good stuff. So let's have a look at the statistics of the Centauro 45t. And as you can see, we've got a 55 km/h top speed, 23 km/h reverse speed, 800 horsepower engine, which is 17.78 horsepower per ton ratio, the 10% internal fire chance, and yeah, the horsepower per ton is very, very good. You will hit 55 kilometers now quite easily. It's above average speed for a medium tank, but it's not the amazing speed that you get out of the Murat, but it's still pretty good, and the reverse speed is good as well. 42 degrees a second on the hull rotation speed means that it does turn pretty quickly on its tracks. Ground resistances don't hold the tank back whatsoever. They are fantastic. 319 meters of still concealment is really nice. Not great, but nice. It's one of those that sort of concealment for a medium tank is enough to keep you safe and keep you unspotted in a lot of situations, but it's not like the Murat having 275 where you're very difficult to spot. You will be spotted if someone has good view range and you're not in a bush. 512 meters of view range as well is pretty decent. It means you can spot for yourself quite nicely in the Centauro 45t. You got 39.1 degrees a second on the turret rotation speed, which means the tank's turret does turn pretty quickly, but slower than the tracks. 0.76 accuracy during rotation, with a 1.81 accuracy during movement, is not that great as a pair, and it means the aim circle does bloom out a wee bit, but you have 2.03 second aim time, so it does aim in pretty quickly anyway. And like I say, this gun can be a bit derpy, which can be frustrating. A lot of that is down to the shell velocity, though. If you've got 9 degrees of gun depression, though, that means you are pretty flexible on a ridgeline. You can use that good turret armor to affect and bounce things. This thing does like to be on the ridgelines. You've got 0.29 accuracy at 100 meters, which should be fairly accurate, but like I say, this gun does like derping. A 6.49 second reload with this single shot gun is 3.7k DPM nearly, which is pretty good, with 248 penetration on the standard AP, 320 on the premium APCR, and 60mm of penetration on the HE rounds, which have 515 alpha, 400 on the other two. Now, the 248 is a little bit low, as a lot of the tier 10 mediums are starting to get to 260 plus, but 248 is still enough, and if you need to, you can just load the premium 320 APCR, which is very, very nice, and we'll go through most vehicles. You got 960 meters a second shell velocity on the standard AP, which is below average of the 1000, which can be pain and helps to make this gun feel a bit derpy. This gun is one of those, just like the 780 is, that if you load APCR, the gun feels so much different, because that shell velocity is a massive difference, and it helps to make this gun feel more accurate. And it's one of those things that this tank does feel a lot nicer when you're firing premium, not for the penetration, but for the actual velocity and how the gun feels when you use it. But that velocity is pretty nice at 1219. And as it is a tier 10 premium, you don't get any bonuses, same as the Murat. But yeah, that's the Centauro 45t. That's what the tank's like. What I'm going to do now is send you into the replays where you can watch this tank in action, see how it handles, see if it's a bit of you or not, and just, you know, see how it goes. So as always, everybody, I will see you in the replays. So here we are in the replays with the Centauro 45t, and this first game is with the single shotgun, showing you what it's capable of. As you can see, we've got 6.5 second reload, and that 3.7k DPM that you have on this vehicle is very, very nice. If you can get the gun to hit, because like I say, the gun can be really derpy, as opposed to quite a few of the other medium tanks, which have super snappy guns with great DPM, great velocity on the standard rounds, which I suppose is one of the downsides for the Centauro 45t. The 248 is on the lower end of pen. Having that 960 meters a second shell velocity means the gun feels way derpier than it probably should be with a .29 accuracy. and it means that you will miss a lot of shots with this vehicle, which is where the auto reloader can be a bit frustrating naturally, as you do have to wait for the clip to, well, wait for more shells to come in, and sometimes you feel like you're wasting shells. But again, like I say, I prefer the auto reloader because of the capacity that I can have, where I can fire that single shot, still do alright, and then have the ability to dump a clip where I need to, as it is that inverse auto reloader. So, here on Moravanka, we have come to this magic forest here, where we can get shots into people like the Freedom, get shots into that Primo Victoria that was crossing. We did manage to get a shot into the TD in the middle as well, and we found a Ferdinand, and I'm looking at Mr. Ferdinand going, hello sir, 248 pen, I can't go through that superstructure, don't really know why I took that shot, but we're going to load 320 pen premium rounds, because we might be able to go through the superstructure of the Ferdinand with that premium round. It's not always guaranteed these days, since the Ferdy did get its superstructure buffed, but it's something that we can try and just chunk through him, get moving on this flank. Because we did spot the 2 tier 8s, and in fact all 3 tier 8s, realistically, and not much else going down this JK line. So I decided, okay, I'm going to be aggressive. We're going to push down the line, spot for my team that are in the Magic Forest, and try and get rid of these guys. So we put a shot towards the Ferdinand's superstructure, and in fact in the game at the time I thought that, okay, I can't pen that superstructure with premium APCR, I may as well just use my standard AP and get after his lower plate and maybe take a hit or two from him, because he is stock, which means he's got very good DPM on that gun. But what I didn't realise is what I've just seen, and that is the case that we actually aimed at the superstructure and it was the gun being derpy, because we hit the side of the superstructure and not the front where we could have actually penned him. But there we go. So, we managed to get rid of the Ferdinand, put a shot into Mr. Primo Victoria here, putting him down to a 1-shot, meaning that he's about to die if we get another shot in. Mr. Freedom's trying to cover him as well. We go for the cupola on the Freedom, which you have to aim for the left-hand one and not the right-hand one, as the right-hand cupola is not really modelled on the Super Pershing. So, it's a bit of a fake-out. So, you have to aim for that left-hand one, or go for the turret cheeks. But he is hiding behind Mr. Ferdinand, and so we're going to have to go around him. We try and get the shot on the move into his cupola, but with the damaged gun, it was never going to happen. He's distracted with everyone else, so we go around him. RBRT the shot into his rear. We're going to wait on our reload, possibly go for the track and pen as we go for it into this guy. But we end up hitting our Carnarvon, who backed up just as he went round him there, and we didn't get the damage. But we do manage to get an extra shot into him anyway. We're up to 3.4k damage with 373 assistance, and there's an E4 directly in front of us, who we're not particularly going to bounce if he decides to fire at us, but he's not currently looking at us. He's currently distracted by the glut of tanks in front, so we're going to take the opportunity to just keep firing the shots in. So we get a shot in that tracks and pens him, and I'm thinking, go on then, try it. If I'm wiggling up and down, there's a likelihood you'll bounce. No. Nope. It's an E4. I don't even know why I bothered. Like, the E4 was always going to pen that. That was a silly shot to take, because now I don't have any hit points, and I'm basically a one-shot for everything in this game. Imagine if I'd had that extra hit points. I probably could be a bit more aggressive and make better plays than I have to do now, because I have no hit points left, and that is just a mistake. I shouldn't have stayed in front of that E4 whatsoever. Silly, silly me. So we managed to get the shot in to kill the IS-3. We see the tippy top of the turret, the T-34, but we can't find the shot into him. They've got a tank in the middle at E3, and, well, we were going to move up into a position to shoot him from the middle, but he ends up getting shut down. But you can see I'm having to be cautious. I don't want to be too aggressive, because if they just end up poking over and going, oh, a tank can shoot me, I will die. And yeah, we don't want that right now. We're having a decent game. 4.4k damage with 3 kills, 1100 assists. Actually, that's 11 assisted. That's a really satisfying number. I don't want any more assistance now, game, okay? That's perfect. So we're going to push up to the ridgeline in front of us here, because we can go hull down at G3, poke over, get some easy shots into the TD and the medium tank without truly exposing ourselves too much. There's 2 TDs, so we're expecting 1 TD to be in the back corner at J1. But we get up alongside the Leopard, put 1 shot through the side there, putting us on 4.8k damage. Hopefully get at least another shot in, as long as he doesn't look at us and decide to go, oh snap, and kill us. We don't want that. So we'll go for the RBRT, get it in, finish him off. We hesitated a little bit in trying to get that shot, just to make sure we weren't going to derp the floor. We probably should have aimed it, to be honest, instead of relying on RBRT, and we would have guaranteed got a bit more damage, but hey ho. There's only one TD left on the enemy team, and I was fully expecting him to be in this corner. But they're not here, and it's wondering, what is the TD that was left? And it was the T114 battalion that was from right at the start of the game. And in fact, there they are. They get spotted down the K line. We lock on to see if we can get a shot into him. Fire on the move, and oh, it looked like it was going to go true, but there must have been just something in the way. He takes a couple of hits, putting him down to a one-shot, and it's now the whole mine moment that goes off here as everybody wants to get the kill, and the charioteer ends up shutting him down. Meaning we finished the game with a pretty decent total there for the Centauro. We finished with the victory. The 4 kills, 4.8k damage, 11 assistance, so we'll finish off with that perfect assistance. The first class for the 1584 base XP. A pretty decent game there for Centauro 45t with single shot gun, just showing you what the single shot is like. And this replay, we're now using the auto reloader. And with the inverse auto reloader, we have a 9.48 second reload on our best round, and then after that it takes 13.13 to reload the second round, 16.77 to reload the third round, and 19.69 to reload the fourth round. So it takes a while to reload the whole clip, but you have the ability to either just stick to your best DPM by just firing on reload, or you can end up building up the shells so that you can go in and clip someone out, and then you end up firing on your best reload. Which is why they've always got to be careful when you bring in an inverse auto reloader and balance it correctly, because it can be such a deadly force, because you have the full power of a clip to go and drop 1600 into someone, and then when you've dropped the 1600, you're actually at your most deadly, because you've got the best reload you can get out of the tank by just loading one shell. So it's one of those things that they do have to be careful of when they balance it like that, and this thing having an inverse auto reloader is very, very nice for having that ability, even if your DPM is much, much worse, as naturally that first shell is the 3-second worse reload than having the single shot, but you have the ability to have a 4-shot clip, which you can use on tanks like Mr. T62A here. So we put 2 shots in 3 shots, going for that 4th shell, which we get in. He managed to hit us twice for all 4 of our shots, but yeah, he hit us twice for all 4 of our shots. We hit him for 1600, he did us for 600. That's what it can be like. And then we're ready to go again, because like I say, it's an inverse auto reloader. We're at our best DPM when we are out of shells in our clip. And because of now having the advanced loader that this tank can carry, the reload is a lot better than it was on this inverse auto reloader, and a lot of the time you actually spend a lot of the time with a double tap. You will a lot of the time in this vehicle have 2 shells loaded, unless you're stuck in a knife fight, which can be very, very good, as it just ups the ability to be able to get extra damage. And the one thing you've got to master with this kind of vehicle, same as you do with any auto reloader, is waiting for your moment to fire. Because I will sit here, and if I have a chance to shoot someone, but I'm watching my reload, and I might be 2 seconds out from reloading the next shell, so I may as well wait to get that shell in the clip, and then fire with 2 shells, as opposed to firing with 1 and having basically reset the reload. It's always best to keep your eye on the reload all the time, so if you know you have a chance to shoot, but you're not really going to kill them, and you have the ability to get a second round in, you may as well go for it. So you're seeing the gun handling a bit here. We went for that shot on the side of the Centurion AVRE's turret, and yeah, the gun went, lol, I see that side of the Centurion AVRE's turret, and I raise you air. Because I'm just going to miss, because screw you. And that's basically what it did to us, which is always a pain. But we're trying to find the cupola here of the E75, which is just sticking above us. But, oh, we ricochet the shell off his turret again. This is absolute pain. And with him getting shut down by the Object 430, this is now our chance to move forward. So I was expecting something to possibly be at DE6 as our TDs move forward. So I'm always keeping my eye on the map, always seeing where the next tank is going to get lit up. And as you see, when we actually come across the next vehicle, we will have a couple of shells loaded and ready for them. So there is the AVRE, there's the E6. Now I decided, okay, I'm just going to fire at the E6. There's 7 seconds left for that third shell. I'm actually probably going to reload just about quicker on the best reload if I just fire now. So we get a double tap into Mr. T95E6, nearly reloaded, so we can secure the kill on him, and that's exactly what we do. We're up to 3.3k damage. Hopefully we can shut down Mr. AVRE before he gets away as well, and in fact the 430 does that. We've boosted our reload with food, which means we're going to reload in even quicker. Hopefully we'll get a second shell in, ready to go on these tanks across the way. The 430 snaps a shot, so clearly he can see them, and this is where I'm saying wait. I could have gone, oh, a tank, snap, fire, but I waited that extra 2 seconds, and that gives me the ability to put in the double tap and secure the kill on Mr. Waffle E100, putting us up to 3.8k damage with the 1441 assistance. Oh, that's shots at a mouse, which we actually managed to ped with AP there, but at this kind of range with AP into the lower plate, it can be a bit of a struggle on a mouse, so we're quite lucky that went in. So we loaded the premium, but Mr. E4 and Mr. Mouse get shut down before we get the shells in. We finished the game with, again, a pretty standard game there for the Centauro 45t or for any tier 10 medium. We finished with 3 kills, 4.2k damage, 1400 assistance, first class with that 1460 base XP. And that's the Centauro 45t. So now we're on to the last tank of the video, and we're on to the tank destroyer of this video, which is the 114 SP2. Now, it was a tank that I didn't particularly get on with that much. I had quite a few good games with it, but I didn't particularly enjoy it as much when it first came out. But then once again, it was one of those tanks that got a buff a couple of weeks later, and it made it a lot nicer to play. And to be honest, the gun on this tank is absolutely fabulous. You have fantastic camo, you have a great view range, you have great penetration, you have nice alpha at 650, the DPM's pretty good. The only real the two downsides to this vehicle are that it is quite slow at 45 km/h top speed. It's a bit sluggish for that as well. And it's got absolutely no armour. It's got the kind of armour that if someone was to hit you at this kind of angle on the upper plate, you could ricochet them, but generally, they are going to pen you really, really easily in this vehicle. So you have no real armour for saying how tall you are. But all the other aspects of the tank play like a sneaky tank destroyer, and that's what this thing is. It hits quite hard at 650, not as hard as some other tank destroyers naturally, but you've got pretty good DPM to go back that up. Having an amazing gun as well, it's superbly accurate. Having the good penetration, the great camo at 262, and the good view range as well means you can outspot people really easily and just keep farming away. And that's what the 114 SP2 likes to do. So, in terms of a crew and equipment, on this tank, again, I actually run a fairly medium tanky crew on this tank. Why? Because we want the camouflage expertise to get the best out of that camo, with the silent driving to get the concealment down while on the move, so I can sneak into position a bit easier, and especially since it takes me a wee while longer to get into position than a lot of other tanks, it's nice to keep that concealment down. All 3 gun perks to make sure the gun is as good as possible, and especially with run and gun and snapshot, because the accuracy during movement rotation isn't too good on this vehicle. It means the aim circle can bloom out, that's why I want to run that, and steady aim to make the general accuracy of the tank better, as you always want to do. And then in terms of the equipment, I run the advanced loader, the optics, and the camo net. Camo net to get that 262 meters of still concealment. The optics to be able to get 499 meters of view range, so I can outspot people at good ranges, especially abusing the very good camo it's got. And the advanced loader to get the best out of the DPM. In terms of the armor on the 114 SP2, as you can see, you're basically made of spit and Kleenex. It is what it is. 75mm of upper plate armor that's angled quite well, so if they catch you at the wrong angle, you can ricochet shots. You can also eat shots on your gun mantlet and block it with your gun, but generally, it's big, it's flat, it's not very good. It's 135mm of armor. It's going to get penned very, very easily. It's a very, very fragile tank destroyer, this is. It really is. And in terms of the modules, that's where the engine bay is. 15% internal fire chance. Middle of the fire chances, it does get set on fire quite a bit. Chinese tanks, they generally do. So it's something to be careful of. That's where the ammo racks are, and especially if you get shot in the back of the turret, that generally will end up getting you ammo racks, so you've got to be careful of that too in the 114 SP2. And that's where the crew sits in this tank. And in terms of the statistics, as you can see, you've got a 45 km/h top speed, which is a bit slow. 18 km/h reverse speed, which is pretty quick for a tank destroyer to reverse around a corner. That's actually pretty good. But you've got 980 horsepower engine, which is 15.56 horsepower per ton ratio. So you're a bit sluggish to get there, but you will hit 45. And it's one of those things that for the tank being so as big as it is and having no armor, it is a little bit slow with the 45 km/h top speed. So you do trundle into position a little bit. You got 30 degrees a second on the hull rotation speed, which means it does turn on its tracks pretty slowly as well, which adds to the sluggishness and the lethargic feel of the mobility. Ground resistances are pretty good. Well, actually, pretty bad on medium and firm, but decent on soft. 1.47 on medium and 1.29 on firm is actually pretty poor for this vehicle. But 1.93 on soft terrain is actually pretty decent. So it might be one that you want to help out with off-road driving. It's down to you and how you want to set it out. 262 meters of still concealment is fantastic. 276 meters of on-the-move concealment is still pretty good as well. With 499 meters of view range means you spot for yourself pretty well. 21.72 degrees a second on the turret rotation speed means it is a way bit slower than the hull rotation, and that's pretty typical of a turreted tank destroyer, to be fair. So it is a slow turret rotation. 0.39 accuracy during rotation is fantastic. So you could drop snapshot if you wanted to for something else, like clutch braking to make it faster, like rapid aim, like muffled shot to reduce the effect of firing on your camo as well. You could do that quite easily to make it so that it's harder to spot when you fire as a tank destroyer, especially with having good camo already. Down to you now, you want to set out the tank, but 2.05 accuracy during movement is not too good, which means as soon as you move the tank, the aim circle blooms out quite a bit. Although for a turreted tank destroyer, 2.05 accuracy during movement is actually pretty good. It's bad, generally. It's not the greatest accuracy during movement in the universe. It means your aim circle will bloom out quite a bit. But for a turreted tank destroyer, in context, it's actually not too bad. Consider something like an A8060 a tier lower has 4 or 5 accuracy during movement. You know, it's that high. It's that bad. And that's a general thing that happens a lot on tank destroyers. That's just one I can pluck out my head. You've got 7 degrees of gun depression, which is not bad, but not good. It's in that middle ground where you sit there going, I can be okay on a ridgeline, but it can also be a bit awkward. You got 1.84 second aim time, which means the gun does aim in supremely quickly, which is great, especially since it does bloom out a bit with the accuracy during movement. You got 0.26 accuracy at 100 meters, which is fantastic. It means this gun is super accurate. A 10.14 second reload for that 650 Alpha is 3.8k DPM. Now that is very, very nice for the 114 SP2. It means it does have a pretty damn good DPM for 650 Alpha. 273 penetration on the standard AP, with 329 penetration on the premium APCR, and 90mm of penetration on the HE rounds. Now the HE rounds do 840 damage, which means they hit a lot harder against some of the artilleries and lightly armoured tanks, which is very nice. And the penetration on the standard AP and APCR is also very, very good. And your shell velocity is 1,050 meters a second shell velocity on the AP, which is slightly above average, which means with the AP you do have to give a good amount of lead to hit targets. But the APCR velocity at 1250 is really nice and means you don't have to give too much lead at all to hit your targets with that round. And again, the gun handling when you load the APCR feels a lot nicer firing APCR than it does standard, and it's not because of the penetration, it's because the shell velocity just gives you that little bit of an edge at hitting moving targets, which can be very nice. And as it is a tier 10 premium, it has no bonuses whatsoever, which can be pain, but there you go. So yeah, that's the 114 SP2, which is a tank destroyer that not everyone's going to get along with because it doesn't have any armour. But if you know how to play a stealthy tank destroyer and can deal with it being that little bit slower, this tank can be very, very nice. And I say I love the gun. The gun is phenomenal on this tank, and that is the key asset of the vehicle, is having that really good camo and that very nice gun. So what I'm going to do now is send you into the replays where you can watch this tank in action, see how it handles, and just see if it's a bit of you or not. So as always, I will see you in the replays. So here we are in the 114 SP2, and this first game we are on Province. And on Province, what I want to be doing is, yes, I'm fairly slow with that 45km/h top speed, so it's going to be a bit slow and sluggish to get up to the other side. But with a tank destroyer like this, I want to be on the other side because I'm going to have good opportunities to shoot across the way, across the 2-3 line, at the enemy team as they progress and push too aggressively down it. Plus I can go to the corner at J9 and get shots down the 8-9 line as well, and spot down the 8-9 line as well, seeing as, you know, with Mr. 114 SP2, we do have pretty good view range at 499, which is good for a TD, and having 262 meters of still concealment means we can pull into a bush, not really get spotted, use the good view range at 499, and then spot down the line, pull back behind the bush so we can no longer see through it. That will increase the camo that the bush gives us, and we can fire this 152mm gun and hit people with great accuracy, because that's what this gun does. It is an absolutely fabulous gun. It hits the majority of shots you'll take, because it's just one of those guns that is almost like a laser. And having 650 Alpha with that 3.8k DPM is very, very nice for it. But you're seeing the 114 SP2 in one of its weaknesses right now, and that is the mobility, and it just takes a wee while to get up and down, get across. That's just what the mobility is like on the 114 SP2, and it's one of those things that is a bit of a frustration with it, is the mobility being that slow. And for saying you've got no armor as well, because it means if you end up getting stuck into a position and then it's not going to go well, you cannot relocate very quickly at all. It's one of those vehicles that once you're there, that's your life. If that position is going to go downhill, yeah, it's going downhill for you. So we tried to prop a shot at the guy at C4 that was spotted, but we didn't end up hitting him. And now we're just going to move ourselves into the position at J9. Like I say, that position up here is a very strong position to take, because you can use the bushes in either the left-hand side or the right-hand side to spot down the 8-9 line and get shots across. And then once you've managed to clear the 8-9 line, or at least, most of the time you won't clear it, but at least get yourself into a better position along the G8 position, you can use the houses for cover from anyone that is along the 8-9 line, and you can shoot across at the guys along the 2-3 and get some free damage when they do decide to end up pushing. So we've got shots into the side of the E5's turret, and that's the camo right there, in that we get a shot straight through the side of Mr. E5's turret. He doesn't actually manage to get a shot at us. We're just looking for that shot into him again, but we don't quite find it. E5 gets shot down by Mr. SDRV 103B. But we are finding other tanks down this line, like the 268 version 5, the Object 752 there. Just waiting on the reload to see if we can get a shot into his cupola, which we get straight through for 638. And that guy actually blind fires us. I'm not sure. You know what? I feel like it might be the MBTB was actually spotted behind us, which meant that they were shooting at him and hit us. But the 752 was clearly blind firing this bush as well. So we spot the E75 down the line. We must have just caught a glimpse of him around the building. We're just being careful, trying to hug the rock on our left a little bit, because I also don't want to take a random blind fire. If I'm sitting in the middle of the bush, that's more likely to get hit by a blind fire. But nothing is lit down there. And in fact, a rocket flies overhead. That must be a Night Stalker knocking around somewhere on the opposite ridge. I'm looking at it going, what are those rockets? Yeah, it is a Night Stalker. Okay. So with nothing really getting spotted down the 9 line, I want to move up towards where the buildings are, where Mr. STRV 103B is currently, because that's my next spot to get shots across. But we have shots at the BZ68 and the E75. The BZ68 hits us with HE. There was no one behind us at that point, so he clearly just blind fired where the shell came from. We get the shot through the lower plate of the E75 because we aimed low. Even though the aim circle wasn't red and it was white, I knew there was destructible cover in front of that E75, so we may as well take the shot to get into him. And again, camouflage on the 114 SP2 is going strong, because we never got spotted by those guys as we managed to put the shots in. But now they've gotten spotted and pulled back, I really want to move into a better position to shoot across the way. I really want to be in that bush where the STRV is, but if that STRV is there, I'm not going to go sit behind him, because again, that would be an asshole kind of thing to do. And we don't want to get spotted behind him and then get him shot, because naturally he's got way better camo than we do. So we're just keeping our eye across the way, trying to take blind fires across into the positions where I expect someone might be. We were trying to feather out or try and see where the rockets were coming from, but unlike the shell traces that you generally get from tanks, it's a lot harder to see where the rockets are actually flying from, which makes it a lot harder to pinpoint and blind fire those rocket firers, which, yeah, is a bit frustrating in terms of trying to get rid of Mr. Night Stalker. So with the Ho-Re 3 and 5A spotted with our heavy tank in front, that's our opportunity to move into this bush line here while staying unspotted, so that we can try and shoot across at anyone that is across there. But again, we know there's a Night Stalker across there firing rockets left, right and centre, and it's just trying to keep an eye on where he quite possibly is. And that was a blind fire? No, it wasn't a blind fire. The E75 is spotted, crossed behind us, and we nearly got hit by the 430 version 2 there as he crossed behind us. Something you got to be careful of, because with Province, it is the way it is. It is a very campy map, and if the team pushes too aggressively too soon, it can go very badly for them, as there is a lot of open shots into your side as you push. And if you're being attacked by people in the front and then start getting shot in the side as you're trying to get away from them, that's where you get caught in a crossfire, that's where you get shut down. This map is one of those where it really rewards to be patient, because patience is the key of this map. If you decide to just get bored and push, you will probably die, which is what we're going to do. We are now going to stay and be patient, stay in our bushes, and wait for the enemy team to push to get spotted, because that's the way it's going to play. Again, rockets are flying across. We see the TD spotted behind us with the heavy tank, but the rockets are still flying in, so I'm trying my best, because if I can get rid of that Night Stalker from across the way, that will be the best thing for us. I was also expecting something to attack our artillery at J2, so when they did attack them, I'd be in a position ready to be able to shoot them, but no one does. So in fact, we're going to turn around and try to possibly help out our team with the heavy tank. But again, rockets are flying in, and that made me go, okay, you know what, no, I'm not going to go around and go get the heavy tank and TD yet. I'm going to see if I can see where the rockets are. But looking at everything that's left alive, only really the Night Stalker and the 4005 haven't been spotted, which means there's probably a 4005 and a Night Stalker across the way at the 2-3, but everything else that's left alive at the minute was all spotted down the bottom end of this 8-9 line. So that's why I was kind of hoping to get rid of the Night Stalker, because that was the threat from that left-hand side, and you know, hopefully we won't get done by a 4005 as well. That would be glorious. The 268 version 5 gets spotted by a heavy tank. He's been pushed by the BZ, so we're just going to sit and wait to see if the BZ pushes a bit too aggressively and gives us a side shot. The E75 gets shut down by the Leopard, just watching the corner. Thankfully for me, he does drive round, but RNG says absolutely not. The BZ68 is going to live. Screw you! And we missed that shot on that guy, which is always a very, very sad time, as, again, we want to progress it. But we have a shot at the 268 version 5. And thankfully, he was poking out just enough that we got a shot through his drive wheel, finishing off that Soviet Tier 10 tank destroyer. Great, great stuff. So we're just going to sit and wait for the... Again, pushing too aggressively too soon will lead to death. So we want to be able to be as calm and assured in how we are going to push this. So the rocket flies in from across the way. There's the 4005 that's spotted on the opposite side. So he's the dude that we wanted to be careful of, but he's being pressured by our TD. We end up finding the artillery, get the shot into the BZ68. I was pulling into these buildings here, so we aren't going to take a hit from the Night Stalker. Looking for the drive wheel, shot into the Batchat, which we get. Tracks and pens him. Sadly, he hits us again. But we're just going to see if he decides to poke out. Because again, I can't really poke anywhere else. Because we know there's a TD up the 8 line somewhere. And there's a Night Stalker on our left trying to shoot at us. So we managed to get the shot in to shut down the Batchat 15555. Again, watching the opposite flank to see where those rockets are coming from. We're not really seeing it. We're up to 5,016 damage, 587 assistance. The 4005 is currently spotted by the STRV, but the STRV, sadly for him, gets shut down, putting him down to a one-shot. And so, we're just going to wait, because the medium tank is pushing across the BC line, which, if he's pushing across there, he should hopefully spot Mr. Night Stalker. And there he is. We put the shot straight through the side of the Night Stalker, which tracks and pens him. But we get detected, and I'm like, oh no, Mr. 4005. That right there, that was 183 millimeters of pain shooting past our tank. Whew. That was a moment. That was a moment. You know, my butt wasn't clenched whatsoever. So now we're unspotted. We're just going to sit in our bush, wait for the enemy team to get spotted. The Waffle Panzer IV does end up getting lit up. He ends up driving out straight in front of our gun. Good night, Mr. Waffle Panzer IV. We have our 329 pen APCR rounds loaded, and we've got those loaded for this Night Stalker, so we can guarantee the pen on him if he gives us his front. Also, the 1250 meters a second shell velocity is pretty handy for that as well. And in fact, the Night Stalker ends up shutting down the 257, and thankfully for me, though, he does end up backing up from the threat in front of him, meaning we can finish him off. We'll switch back to AP because we don't need the APCR for a 4005, and we're going to try and poke into a position where we can spot the 4005 across the way, because naturally a 4005 has absolutely zero camo. We've got very good camo, so it's going to be very difficult for him to be able to outspot us. And again, it's just all about patience, because I don't want to get spotted by the 4005. He will just end up killing us. So we're going to poke out in our little bush. He gets spotted there behind the rock, but he gets finished off by the Leopard PTA. We finished the game with a pretty damn good score there for the 114 SP2 with the victory, the 5 kills, 6.3k damage, the 587 assistance, and I think that showed off the general play of the 114 SP2. It wants to be playing that TD role. When it is, the gun is absolutely fabulous. Anything looks at you and sneezes at you, it will pen you in general. And then, As well as that, you can use the very good camo to stay unspotted in good situations as well, which is what the 114 SP2 wants to be doing. It is a sneaky sniper. But you can also play as that support brawler, and that support brawler that I'm talking about is what you're going to see in this gameplay, because this is what the tank can be like when you are truly playing that support role, where you're with tanks who are taking hits, and as long as they're taking hits and bouncing shots, you can poke out and give the support fire you need to do. And occasionally, as you've just seen there, you can bounce shots. Don't try it, because it won't guaranteed happen. But because of the angling on the upper plate, they missed my turret, hit my upper plate, and at this angle, it ricocheted, so they missed. We're up to 1,276 damage, and it's all about using that fantastic DPM with the help of our team to be able to just keep the support rounds flying. We don't want to be the ones poking out and taking the hit, as if we do poke out, naturally, they will just end up shooting us and penning us with absolute ease. So we finish off the T30. We're up to 2.3k damage, just waiting on our reload, seeing if anyone will shoot this WZ. But the UDES 1516 and the other guys have actually pulled back behind the bridge because they've realised what's happening. They're getting slaughtered. The IS-4's joined the fray, so again, he fires, which means it's my chance to go forward and see if we can get a shot. Thankfully, the UDES 1516 ends up missing his shot. And I was going to pull back and go after the heavy tank and medium tank at H23, but we've got Mr. Type 5 Heavy. And Mr. Type 5 Heavy is the perfect tank we want to be supporting. So we get a shot into the drive wheel of the IS-4, tracking and penning him in place. And with this Type 5 Heavy, being the boss that he is, being the sponge that we need him to be, we're going to get round on the left-hand side of him, use him for the meat shield he is with his great armor, and try and again support him and get rid of these tanks using our 650 Alpha and our DPM. So the other Type 5 Heavy's here as well, and with him taking hits, we're just going to use the opportunity to put a shot into the side of the Murat, putting him down to a one-shot. And again, every time we fire, we're being as careful as possible. We're also keeping our eye on the SDRV-103B, but he's just got shut down, so we don't have to worry about that too much. So we're going to put a shot into the UDES 1516, which sets him on fire and finishes him off, because again, I was trying to think of knocking guns out the game, because every gun that's alive is a gun that could possibly turn its gun on me and hit me. So we'd finally take a shell there from the IS-4, because he shot around the Type 5 Heavy and killed me. The Nemesis MBT ends up shutting down our Type 5 Heavy friend, so we're going to use that opportunity again to poke round and get a shot in. We see the cupola of the Nemesis, but we can't quite find it because he's behind a wreck. So we make sure that we're going to aim the shot into the lower plate of the IS-4, finishing him off. We're never going to struggle with an IS-4 because 273 pen is really good. And again, if we were to load the 329 pen, well, we're just never going to struggle with that. So we go for the cupola of the Nemesis, which is the weak spot on that vehicle when he's hull down like that. But we aimed a little bit too low to the left, and that meant that we hit the turret and not the cupola, and so we ended up bouncing and not getting any damage in that. We tried to get into position to get behind the Super Conqueror to finish him off, but the M48A5 pattern does not care. He likes the RBRT, and he will hit it, because an M48 pattern is the old school king of shooting on the move. Back before 6.0, that thing was still amazing at shooting on the move, because accuracy during rotational movement on that tank was exceptionally low compared to a lot of the other vehicles. But the strength of that M48 pattern these days is not as king as it once was for shooting on the move, because, well, 6.0 crew skills and equipment are a thing, and it generally means that most tanks are pretty good at it now, which is, you know, pain for those kinds of vehicles, but there you go. So, we get a shot on the move into the Gorilla 15. He misses his shot on the move, which is fairly fortunate, really. But again, you're seeing that even though we're fully on the move, the bloom on this gun really is not that bad at all. And since it aims in really quickly, it doesn't take very long to get the shot aimed in, and we put another one into the Gorilla, hopefully get the finish here with our 3.8k DPM. And there we go, we're up to 7,069 damage, 154 assistance. Thankfully get missed by the artillery there, that could have been close, but okay. The 114 Battalion gets spotted pressuring the medium tank. There's also a Jagdpanzer E100 at C1 that we do have to try and be careful of as well, because, again, he could hit us very hard. The Jagdpanzer shuts down the M48A5, and so we're just going to maneuver ourselves up on top of this ridgeline to try and get a shot into the Jagdpanzer, because he is in a position where we could try and get ourselves higher to get that shot, but we can't quite find it. But we do get a shot into the T114 Battalion as he was crossing. We spot the GUI as well, and I was going to try and help this heavy tank out with the battalion and the Jagdpanzer, but in fact, with Mr. GUI being just across this ridgeline, we're going to go get that bacon, because with the 5A, I'm pretty sure he's going round and around the Jagdpanzer, so if we get rid of this RT, that's what we want to do. So we get one in with AP, load the HE, because 90mm of penetration will go through the superstructure of a GW and E100, and I wanted to hit him for 840 alpha, but he takes a hit in the back, meaning that he is down to a one-shot, even with standard AP, but we get the HE round in, finishing off that German tier 10 artillery. Up to 8,880 damage with 154 assistance. The last tank alive on the enemy team is currently capping, and well, to be honest, we get absolutely nowhere near it. So I'm going to cut it there, just so, because this video is already so long already, I'm going to try and cut it down a little bit. And we finished the game with 5 kills, 8.8k damage, the 154 assistance, the ace tanker Pascucci's, the high caliber, the sniper medal, with the 1908 base XP. A really great game there for the 114 SP2, showing off that it can still play that kind of support role where you're on the front line, you're just trying to keep the damage flowing with the great DPM. But as soon as you start taking hits, it goes downhill because this tank really doesn't have any armor. And if that situation goes south, you can't really get away from that situation very easily either, because you have no real good top speed, you know? But yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you very much everybody for watching, and I'll see you next time.
A great success!